My mom and stepdad disowned me, left me out of the will to favor my stepbrother, and treated me like I didn't belong. But now, years later, they're begging for my help. After Steve showed up at my door with his guilt trip speech, I realized I couldn't keep any part of them in my life. Not my mom, not Steve, and definitely not Tyler. They weren't just toxic, they were relentless. It wasn't enough to ignore their calls or texts. They always found a way to claw back in, trying to manipulate me into giving them something. I knew that if I didn't put a hard stop to it, they'd never leave me alone. The first thing I did was meet with my lawyer again. I explained the situation in full, and they suggested taking legal measures to protect myself. We filed a no-contact order against Steve, specifically citing his unannounced visit as harassment. It was a harsh move, but one I didn't regret for a second. Blocking their numbers on social media wasn't enough. I changed my phone number entirely. I didn't tell anyone except a few trusted friends. I even had my address removed from public records using a privacy service, so they couldn't find me again. I didn't want to live looking over my shoulder, waiting for the next ambush. My mom tried every angle to stay in my life. She emailed me from different accounts, leaving guilt-laden messages about abandoning family and how much Ethan misses me. At first, I'd skim them just to see what new tactics she was trying. Then I stopped opening them altogether. She switched to calling my friends, trying to get them to talk to me. My closest friend, Jamie, told me she'd called him, crying, saying, "You need to convince him to talk to his mother." Jimmy shut her down. "If he doesn't want to talk to you, that's his decision," he told her, and then blocked her number. That's when I realized I needed to cut ties completely, not just with my mom, but with everyone connected to her. I unfriended and blocked mutual friends and distant relatives who were still in contact with her. I wasn't going to give her a single avenue to reach me. One day, she sent me a letter through the mail. I don't know how she found my new address, but there it was, her handwriting on the envelope, plain as day. Against my better judgment, I opened it. The letter was exactly what I expected, a mix of guilt, manipulation, and entitlement. She wrote about how hard things were for her and Steve, how Ethan was struggling in school, and how I was being selfish for not helping. She ended it with, "You'll regret this one day when we're gone." That sentence pissed me off more than anything else. For years, I'd been the one they ignored, belittled, and used, and now she had the audacity to act like I was the one abandoning them. I shredded the letter and threw it in the trash. Then I called my lawyer and asked them to send a formal cease and desist letter. If they tried to contact me again, I'd pursue legal action. The silence that followed was blissful. No calls, no emails, no letters. For the first time in years, I felt like I could finally move forward without them dragging me down. It wasn't easy at first. Cutting off my mom, especially, was complicated. There were moments when I'd wonder if I'd gone too far, but then I'd think about all the times I'd been made to feel like I didn't matter. When they shoved me into a tiny room, when Tyler trashed my stuff, when Steve blamed me for everything, and when my mom just stood by and let it all happen. I reminded myself that cutting ties wasn't about punishing them, it was about protecting myself. They made it clear who they were, and I wasn't going to waste any more of my life hoping they'd change. The only person I even considered reconnecting with was Ethan. He was just a kid, and I didn't want to blame him for the actions of the rest of the family. He'd written me a letter once, apologizing for asking me for money and saying he missed me. It was genuine, and I could tell he wasn't part of the manipulation game his parents and Tyler played. But reconnecting with him meant opening a door to the rest of them, and I wasn't ready to do that. Maybe someday, when Ethan's older and can reach out on his own terms, we can talk. For now, though, I need to keep that door shut. These days, I don't think about them much. I've built a life I'm proud of, a good job, a few close friends, and a sense of peace I never had growing up. Cutting ties wasn't easy, but it was the best decision I ever made. Walking away wasn't just survival. It was an upgrade. For years, I'd been running on fumes, but now I finally had the chance to hit reset. My life, my rules. Family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who show up for you. And if they weren't going to be those people, I'd find others who would. Thank you for sticking with me through this long post. Writing all this out has been both exhausting and freeing, and honestly, I wasn't sure if anyone would actually read it. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you taking the time.